I'll never forget a customer told me once that he basically said, you know what, everybody I deal with looks at you guys, you cybersecurity guys, as just fence builders. You're just fence builders. They really don't see how you fit into the mission, how you fit into the business objectives. You're just out there building the fence. Uh, it's an important. We got to have a fence, yeah, but it's not core. And so long as that's the mindset, and that comes from the top all the way down, you're going to see the propagation of human errors and human mistakes and the failure to mitigate the risks that are posed by the people at every echelon, at every uh, uh, example. I mean, take for example the big solar winds breach. I mean, that was massive. Again, made the news. When was it? Last year, the year
Yeah, it
before
started in
last?
2019, made the news. What was it? FireEye exposed it in 2020, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. When you really peer back, what was it? It was it impacted 18,000 organizations, right? It was in March 2020. That's when it was, March 2020. And they compromised a DLL file, dynamic link library used in the Windows platform, for an update to a platform by SolarWinds. And in the end, it affected all these organizations, including 6 government departments. And it wasn't discovered until almost the next year, December of 2020. Now, when you really peel back the covers of that whole issue, there was somebody at some level that left the default password on a critical piece of equipment.
Allegedly. Yeah, so and that's what the interesting thing with
It's
that
alleged.
specific
It's all
well, with that
allegedly.
specific attack, I think it's very interesting because we talk about building a zero trust architecture with regard to, our users, but oftentimes, even in a zero, even with that, supply chain risks are completely forgotten about, and that's exactly what SolarWinds was in 2020. It was all due to the supply chain because it wasn't just any file that that those hackers got access to. It was a file that they were able to put into the patches that SolarWinds was sending out via their platform.
Right.
And so you had a trusted a supplier of security patches installing software onto your system that created a backdoor for bad actors. Um, Now, allegedly, that was due to perhaps some default passwords. What something that was discovered as a result of that, though, for a fact, was the fact that the patch server itself had the password of SolarWinds 123. And I say allegedly because it's like there's active lawsuits from investors going on between investors and chief executives and SolarWinds, and it's still being litigated today. Uh, but ultimately, what we're talking about though is a is human error. It was the yeah, it all stemmed from someone not building who probably should have known better, making the decision either through ignorance or poor judgment, making a completely easy to guess password. It's a technique that the identified hackers from SolarWinds have did not create and did not discover, but it's been propagated through this big attack, and a lot of other uh, hacking organizations have adopted that exact same tactic, and it's worked.
So, but the thing is, it shows you that human error goes beyond the end
Yes.
user.
Yep.
See, it's always cast as this is a situation where we have people clicking links in the emails. Now, don't get me wrong, 41% of people clicking links in emails for all the successful attacks is a huge figure. But even aside from that, some of the biggest, most notorious breaches of all were not user error, but they were still human error. So whether it's human error at the top of the organization, making bad decisions and acquisitions and choices for how to structure their organization around information technology, or it's bad implementation staff, taking shortcuts, ignoring the best practices when it comes to hardening their environment. Same thing when it comes to end users. Everybody at every point of it creates and introduces a uh, a, a susceptibility, a vulnerability to the overall system that you can't mitigate with a new firewall. You can't fix with some new widget. You have to deal with the actual source problem, and the source problem in each of these cases is a
Yeah,
person.
and it when you combine those factors, it creates just exponential just a huge amount of problems, and exposes you to just a greater attack surface, right? That next stat down the line from that IBM X Factor report, it had the next most like the next category of successful attack vectors as technological vulnerabilities. So when you combine the two, when you take human error and technological vulnerabilities and you put them together, you had a recipe for just bad news.